Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome to Tom Curran's Patriots Talk podcast. It is the day after a game, so it is the aftermath. Patriots had to wait all weekend long. Thanksgiving Day games, Black Friday games, Saturday college football, Sunday games, all day long. They were waiting until Monday night. And what happened? With a bye week next week, with injuries, Phil Perry, with a team that had played stiffly against some recent competition that had been a pain in the posterior, they took care of business. Before we hear from you, let's hear from Mike Vrabel and Drake Maye speaking after the game about the New England Patriots and their 11-2 record, thanks to the 33-15 win. The focus.
We came out ready to go. We focused on being aggressive and attacking and keeping that mindset, and I think we did. Just proud of what the team has done week in and week out, whatever the challenge was and whatever's has been presented to us.
I think it started with Coach saying no naps. You know, we want to come out here and start fast. And we knew this team has been up in a lot of games, and they got good players over there. They have some good talent, and we wanted to try to get on them fast. And Marcus helped us with that. You know, what a return for him, and the kickoff coverage. I think just all phases of the game showed up at different points, and I still think offensively in the second half we got to put some more drives together to put the game out of reach.
Phil, we spent a portion of the post game on Monday night speaking about human nature. Why did we do that? Why was it so important to speak about human nature as it relates to this 33-15 win?
Well, I just think when you're looking at this game, you were looking at two teams that were in a similar boat in that both had played a lot of football without a break. The Giants and the Patriots are hitting their bye in Week 14 here. And so in Week 13, to see the New England Patriots come out with the level of energy and enthusiasm and physicality that they displayed was, to me, eye-opening and, quite frankly, impressive. To just physically beat up an opponent. And I know they're 2-10 and the Patriots are 10-2. They should have won. They did win. But to do it in that fashion, Tom, really raised my eyebrows because I thought this was a team that was in some ways kind of limping to the finish in terms of the injuries they'd sustained. Yep. But that did not look like a team that was limping in any way, shape, or form. It actually looked like a team that knew it was on the national stage and maybe knew it had something to prove to people who still really aren't taking them all that seriously.
We're going to delve into that in just a second. But just because of the qualifiers that have been attached to the Patriots season, by myself included, and so many people, it's important to look at a 2-10 team. I do think, and I'm not trying to make excuses or wear my footy pajamas, 27-20 against the Packers, the Giants lost. 34-27 against the Lions, and they led a lot of that game. 24-20 loss to the Bears. 34-20 to the Niners, who are a good team. They had a 19-point lead late against the Broncos. They beat the Eagles. They beat the Chargers. They have been a pain in the ass all season long against teams that are really good. So the qualifiers that will inevitably be attached to this win, the same way they were to the 24-23 win over the Falcons or any other game, that are going to say, it's the Giants. But every other good team in the league, Rams included, Colts included, Broncos included, have been caught with their pants down. This inexperienced team, which ESPN flashed up on the screen, they have the second most snaps taken by rookies of any team in the NFL this year. The other teams that were in that top four were all horrible. That they can maintain that level of focus is really eye-opening and jaw-dropping. I got different body parts moving in different directions. Eye-dropping. More human nature questions before we get to the game itself. Human nature would also say that a team that is 11-2, that is constantly being discounted because of the schedule, that it can't duck. They have played the easiest schedule in the league. Thank you, Elmer Fudd. In the league by a far sight. But we haven't heard any of the, nobody believes in us. Why doesn't anybody think we're any good? We'll show you. None of it. I have not heard them kick rocks about the national perspective or even the local perspective to any extended version at all.
You think that's because the head coach doesn't present his players that messaging? in some ways.
The way
because
Mike's
I do think
wired-
he's an incredibly competitive guy.
But I could see him saying, I don't know, would he be saying nobody thinks you're any good, or would he be saying don't think you're too good?
I think it's more the second one.
I think so.
And I think they are just so hyper-focused on the week that is. He's not going to be the type, I don't think, to get so far ahead of himself that he's talking to his team about their Super Bowl odds or anything of that sort.
Or where they are in the power rankings.
Or where they are in certain people's power rankings. I also think, Tom, there's a part of this regime that understands they're still in year one of this regime. And they really aren't supposed to be here right now. And so would it not be a little bit hypocritical to get up in front of the room and talk to 100 people that work in the football operations department, including 53 players and 10 practice squad players, and say, hey, nobody believes in us, when you did nothing at the trade deadline to make yourselves appreciably better? In fact, you traded away a couple pieces that would have been depth guys on your roster that were actually playing some football for you. So that might be part of the reason why we're not hearing it, though I would have to imagine that the players themselves are in the back of their minds thinking of what they might be able to do with this season.
They're probably all as stunned as anyone. If we got one of those guys over a coffee and said, what do you think your record will be? I don't know, 10 wins, 9 wins, be around the playoffs. I mean, we want to get in. They're not going to say that publicly, but you can't imagine anyone was going to go. We'd probably be 11-2 and in the catbird seat for the first round bye. It wouldn't happen. And as a result, maybe that's why you're not hearing it. They weren't a team like, give me a team that had a frisky year the year before and then was putting a season together and people would say, yeah, well, they're not that good. That would be a team that came off of, as Vrabel pointed out earlier this year, this team won 8 games the last 2 years. What do they have? What kind of history do they have? When he was talking about history relating back to his days. But skipping on from that, 33-15, and we always start very early with Drake Maye because it's another great day for Drake Maye. Hey. He's been over 8 yards per attempt in every game since week 3, has not been under an 80 quarterback rating all year. I like quarterback rating. I don't care what anyone says. It makes sense to me, and it's a good measure. 10 times he's been over 100 in quarterback rating, 6 times over 120. That's eye-dropping, jaw-popping. Here is Stephon Diggs talking about whether or not he believes Drake Maye should be the MVP.
That ain't for me to say. Obviously I'm biased, because he's my quarterback, and I would love for him to win MVP his second year in the league. He's an amazing quarterback, but, that ain't up to us. I think what we chasing is going to be a little bit more important. But, you continue to play well, it'll fall right in your lap.
To buttress my point, Next Gen Stats points out that Drake Maye completed 6 of 8 passes beyond 10 air yards on Monday night. He's completed a league-leading 88 passes this season on those for 1,865 yards, and that's over 200 yards more than any other quarterback. When he throws downfield, he's a monster. You got those stats. You also have 160 catches so far for wide receivers on the New England Patriots. I haven't gone far back yet to look at when the last time that happened was. It might be like 2014. And finally, 7 different players had 3 or more catches on Monday night. Whoa. Phil, what was the most impressive part of Drake Maye's night to you?
To me, it was the fact that he was able to change his game a little bit. This was a storyline that I was supremely fascinated by before the game began, because there was one way in which this Giants team would be able to keep it close with the Patriots, and that was by making the most of their uber-talented pass rushers, Brian Burns and Abdul Carter. Now, they did not do that right off the rip because they benched Abdul Carter for the first 2 series, it looked like, in this game. Apparently was either late or didn't show to a team event.
Details.
So they hurt themselves in that regard, but the Patriots helped themselves protect against those guys with backup offensive linemen on the field by getting the football out of Drake Maye's hands quickly. So Josh McDaniels gets a lot of credit for this. Drake Maye himself gets a lot of credit for this. A lot of throws to the backs, little swing passes into the backfield, quick hitters to an early one to Stephon Diggs on a whip route, on a quick out, Mac Hollins on a quick out, just getting it out on time and in rhythm so that those guys couldn't even breathe on him. He ended up getting sacked 3 times, but it really was not a problem throughout the course of this game. And he had a number of pockets, Tom, that I thought were very clean and allowed him to throw the ball down the field. And so whether it was the Booty touchdown, the Kyle Williams touchdown, which was maybe his best throw of the game, I just thought it was another really, really good night because he was able to mix in some of those down the field throws while also being this point guard who was getting rid of it very quickly. According to Next Gen, another great Next Gen stat for us here, on average, he got rid of the ball in 2.57 seconds, which is his quickest release time of the season.
We talked about it in the pregame. We talked about it last week when the injury news came down about Wilson and Campbell. We're going to get to some details on the Will Campbell injury that Albert Breer shared on the pregame show. But Josh McDaniels is good at this. He has been an offensive coordinator for teams that had, Jordan Devey and Adrian Waddle in the Super Bowl, and you name it. He has coordinated offense with stopgap offensive linemen and had success. Yeah, because he had the greatest quarterback of all time triggering it, but he also understood, probably because of the give and take with that quarterback, what that quarterback would need, and also was able to diagnose. Look, and I said this last week, Vidarian Lowe is not going to be a drop-off from 100% Will Campbell down to 0. He might be 100. Will Campbell is a 100 relative to Vidarian Lowe, and Lowe might be 80. He's not 50. He's not half the player, but there's going to be plays. Keep him out of those situations where those players are going to emerge, and you can mask the problem. As you pointed out, Phil, you just can't be in 3rd and flipping 8.
You can't, and you can't keep those guys out of trouble all the time just with scheme. You and I both remember a play, and we never saw a replay of it for some reason because it was a very impressive play on Drake Maye's end. He was Mr. Fix-It on this play. Josh McDaniels can do everything he can do in terms of organizing a structure and a formation and a concept that will keep Drake Maye upright. But there was a drop back pass early in this game, and I think it was both tackles ended up getting beat. Vidarian Lowe very quickly, Brian Burns on his side, immediately runs around him, and Drake Maye somehow escapes, eludes, and rolls out to his right, and I think ends up throwing it away.
He did.
But it ends up being 2nd and 10. That was a first down drop back, I believe.
It looked like they were both going to grab him around the thighs.
And they
didn't even touch him.
So McDaniels could do his thing to keep Maye healthy. Maye is in many ways going to be his own best protector with Will Campbell out. And so that was one play where we got to see just what he can do for himself and one of the reasons why he's so special. Can I just give you another stat that just came across my timeline for Drake Maye and just the run that he's on right now? What a heater. This is according to Opta Stats. In each of his last 10 starts, Drake Maye has passed for 200 yards or more, rushed for positive yardage, thrown no more than 1 interception, averaged 8 yards per pass attempt, and won the game. No quarterback in NFL history has done that in more than 5 consecutive starts, and he has done it in his last 10.
I always said, don't trade down, just take the guy. One other really interesting thing about that, and this figures into the McDaniels and the development, because when you look at those numbers of snaps that the rookies have taken, and this team playing at the level it is, you have to say to yourself, well, what is it? Some of it's got to be coaching and development that was non-existent. And that's why I want to talk about the play after he stepped out of the would-be sack. After the throwaway, he goes, and it's a 3rd and 3, and he goes through, if you guys remember, 3 different reads. One over to his left, then he looked in the right flat, and then he came back and knew Hunter Henry would be available over the middle. He got him for a 3rd and 3 first down conversion. I don't know if they turned that into a touchdown. They were in the red zone, so they probably didn't.
Soon thereafter, that was the Keyshawn Booty over the shoulder touchdown.
What a throw. Good to see that happen
Great
in the
catch,
red
great
zone.
throw.
Bless him. Could be better down there. Got to be candid about that.
That was a great job going through his progression there. I think he actually, and he does this so well, and I don't know if it's intentional. That's probably not the right word. It's certainly intentional that he pump fakes, but I don't know if he's pump faking with the intention of just getting a defender to bite in one direction and then throw it, or if he's actually thinking he's going to throw the football and then at the last second he decides not to, oh my God, there's somebody else who's even more wide open for an even greater gain down the field. And that's what it looked like happened on that throw to Hunter Henry, which was also on the move. So he's just able to do all these different things, whether it's with his brain, with his feet, with his arm, and sometimes all three on the same play, that just has them operating at another level. We talked about this on the postgame show. Tom, it's very rare that a defense stops them offensively.
Mm-hmm.
It's always, if they get stopped, it seems to be usually them stopping themselves.
All right, we got the May fixation out of the way. Complimentary football, though, is probably a major reason the Patriots won this game, and a lot of that started with their physicality. Again, Phil pointed it out. Since July, they haven't had a break. They played 13 straight games. They're a new program, a new organization in many ways, under new leadership, under new management, yet they haven't blinked. And to play the way they did with the physicality they showed early in the game after last week, when I said this might have been the egg against Cincinnati, because I've been waiting for the egg, that might have been about as close to an egg as we've seen. And they came out and played entirely different in the early portion of this game. You saw the punt return TD by Marcus Jones, the forced fumble by Christian Ellis, and then, of course, the hit on the sidelines that Ellis delivered when Jackson Dart was scrambling. It was going to be a 3rd and 1. He wasn't going to get the first down. Stupid of him not to take it and take a 3rd and 3 instead of getting clobbered. That 3rd and 1 turned into a 3rd and 15 because not only did he get decleated, but he had a teammate, well, you're not going to do that to my guy. Well, okay, here's your 15 yards. And now you're not going to convert either. Here's Mike Vrabel on that Ellis hit on the sidelines on Jackson Dart.
It's a weekly reminder to the quarterback, our quarterback. You know, I mean, we show him every week. Like, I wouldn't get too cute over there by the sidelines. It happens every week, and so Christian's playing, you know, through the whistle, and as long as the player's in bounds, he's going to try to hit him legally. And then on the kickoff, you know, we take a lot of pride in covering kicks. It was a matchup. They were top 5, and we were, you know, they were number 5, and we were number 6 in kickoff, and I expect us to be in the top 5, and you know, that's what I try to tell our kickoff coverage team. So it was good to see that, the impact that it can make, and, you know, turning the ball over as well.
So you have a quarterback who so far cannot be stymied. You have a defense that really tackles well. They do have their issues here and there in the run game defense, but it's not for lack of effort, nor is it for lack of swarming. I think they're one of the best swarming gang tackling defenses that I've seen this team put out in a while. Special teams continues to be effective. They suck in the red zone on defense and offense. There you go. But where's the general weakness? On what side of the ball do you look at and go, well, that's going to hold them back?
I've been saying that I think it's their inability to run the ball offensively with really any kind of consistency. Now, they ran it well enough on Monday night. They happened to be going against the worst rushing defense in football. They ran for over 4 yards per carry, and that includes, you know, Drake Maye's statistics, which included kneel downs at the end of the game. Maye finished with 6 carries for 12 yards. Stevenson, I thought, sort of tailed off after a pretty good start to the game. This was something that Mike Vrabel kind of lamented after the fact. You know, he wished they finished a little stronger. There were a couple red zone trips that resulted in field goals or a field goal attempt that was blocked. And they just kind of started to putter offensively. And so Stevenson wasn't great, but Henderson, Tom, 11 carries for 67 yards, 6.1 yards per carry, and no
home
fluff
runs
in there, no home runs, but also no like trickeration. They had the little orbit motion run that I know you liked that went for a chunk, but boy, that was just speed and hitting the right hole, it seemed. The question is, can they sustain that? I do think that will hold them back. If they can't run it against better teams, it's just asking a lot of Drake Maye, who's had an unbelievable season. It's asking a lot of him to be the entire offense come playoff time.
Yeah, and that's the interesting. If they can't run it, well, then they damn well better protect, because you cannot afford to have the double whammy of, okay, well, we can't run the ball, so it's 3rd and 8, and we're not going to be able to give them more than 2 seconds. Give them 2.5. Give them 3. You'll win the game. It comes down to that. If he gets more than 2.5 seconds, they'll win the game, because the wide receivers and he and the tight ends are in such a spot right now, I think, that it's hard to stop them. We had this conversation on Post Game Live. I didn't feel like having it, but then once we started having it, I enjoyed it. Are they the best team in football? I'll give my take real quick.
Go.
I have to say they are, because the 2025 season matters. What you've put out there matters. They've played better football longer than anybody else. They have wins of 21, 18, 19, and 18 against the ass teams that they used to be eyeball to eyeball with. They've won on the road against Buffalo. And you could say what Buffalo is now, but what Buffalo was then was a team that rode high and was in the AFC Championship game last year and was at home. Teams change after they lose, but the team they saw that day was a lot different. They beat Tampa on the road. So to me, they've had all manner of games. They've had blowouts against decent teams. They've won on the road. They've won at home. They've won in prime time. They haven't played a great schedule, but nobody's played better than them. So as a result, they don't have the best roster, but Phil, hard work beats talent when talent doesn't work hard. The pause there was for me to remember exactly what the words were.
That was a nice job by you at a very, very late hour, past both our bedtimes. I disagree with you. The Patriots are not the best team in football.
Fair.
I'm going with the LA Rams. The Patriots are in the conversation in terms of that next tier of teams, though.
Mm-hmm.
And I would have them, as I have for the last few weeks, I would have them atop the conference if we were power ranking just the AFC. But if you look at the Rams, they are the second best team in terms of point differential. They're up over 100. The Seahawks, actually, within the division, are first. The Patriots, your New England Patriots, are third in the NFL in point differential after Monday night's game. They're at plus 110, just a tick above the Indianapolis Colts, who are at plus 108. But some of their wins, Tom, the Rams smoked the Bucs a couple of weeks ago. They've beaten the Seahawks. They have smoked the Niners. They've also lost to the Niners in a nail-biter.
When they get going, nobody's going to beat them.
They've smoked the Jaguars. These are playoff teams. They beat the Ravens by 2 touchdowns. Now, they have had an up-and-down year, but you get my gist. They are not just a good team with a good record and a good point differential. They have a very impressive resume of wins. And so I'm going with them as kind of the clear one, even after losing to the Panthers. And then the Patriots are in that tier soon thereafter. And they might even be number 2. I think I probably would put them at 2. And the Broncos and the Eagles and maybe the Buffalo Bills would be sort of how I would tier it soon thereafter.
We all understand the strength of schedule, but let's put a number on it. How easy has the Patriots' schedule been in terms of their opponents? And again, they've beaten the hell out of several teams that stink. So, but that's all you can do is just beat the hell out of them.
Sure.
The strength of schedule is measured by the total wins. That's how the NFL does it. By the total wins of the opponents. The Patriots' combined schedule of 13 games has 54 wins. The Rams' combined schedule in 12 games has 81. That's a lot, and it's one fewer game. That 54 wins. The Jets combined wins 77.5. The tie in there. Holy crap. Oh, no, the Tennessee Titans have seen teams that have won 90 total games. But the worse you are, the higher the record usually are, because you stink and those teams all got to win over you. That's how that works. So there's like 11 more wins if you stink. Be that as it may, we're going to be back in just a second. And when we do 3, 2, 1. Be that as it may, we'll be back in just a second. And when we do return, we'll talk about Will Campbell's injury. We'll talk about the upcoming schedule. We'll talk about the forecast for the bye week and much more.
Steph, 10 straight wins. What do you think makes this team special?
Pride of camaraderie, guys really pulling for each other. It's not fake out there. You want guys to play well. You want the guys around you to play well. Throwing those extra blocks and doing all that, I think it goes a long way, especially from the receiver position. Guys out there really trying to spring the running backs for yards, and we super hard at each other. I think the accountability is there coming from when a guy, doesn't get as many yards or does this. Like, we all hold each other accountable, and it's like we built that standard. So I think that's the biggest thing.
That was Stephon Diggs, Patriots' leading receiver in 2025. And again, just key catches tonight, nothing eye-opening, explosive, but just doing the work, as they say in the 2020s. He is out there doing the work.
Relatively quiet day. 3 catches for 26 yards. And this is now several games consecutively where he has not made a real loud impact. And the reason I'm pointing that out is not because I feel like he's tailing off. Defenses might be trying different things against him in particular, knowing how important he is to the overall operation. But the reason I think it's noteworthy is because it just highlights what you were saying earlier about the number of different receivers who are producing for this team right
That's
now.
an
It
insane
really
number.
doesn't matter. You can have your best receiver go for 26 yards in a football game and still put 33 points on the board.
I mean, again, we
One
do
of those
this.
was a special teams touchdown, but you get my drift.
We do this right after our post-game show, so we don't have time to go through all the stats. So I was shy on one earlier that I wasn't able to give you the full detail on. But again, I don't know how long it's been since the Patriots had numbers like this from their wide receivers. 5 targets, 4 catches for Booty, 3 targets, 3 catches for Williams, 4 targets, 3 catches for Diggs, 4 targets, 3 catches for Hollins, 1 target, 1 catch for Kyle Williams for 33 yards and a touchdown. And then you had Henderson with over 3 catches as well, and Hunter Henry with 4 catches for 73 yards. It's uncanny.
It's uncanny. And
Stevenson had 3 for 40.
just to give you Diggs' last 5 games, yards only. 38, 46, 105, big game against the Jets on Thursday Night Football. 20 against the Bengals and 26 against the Giants. And they're rolling. So I think Drake Maye is one of those rare young quarterbacks who really doesn't need a number 1 receiver. Even though Diggs is their number 1, he's not a number 1 in the truest sense, in my opinion, which is you go to him in any situation, any coverage, any spot on the field, and you feel like that guy is going to win one-on-one. He wins in a lot of different situations, but he's not that player really anymore. The fact that he's doing what he's doing with the group around him, and he's so willing to spread it out and make the most of all of those guys, I think is a big reason why they are where they are right
I got to look up drops. I can look up drops. Let's take a 20. I'm going to see how many total drops there are. I'll go to Pro Football Reference for that right now. Be right back. We are back. Phil beat me by just a second. And he found on which website?
This is Pro Football Focus, and they have this updated through their 13th game, which surprises me. But they have the Patriots as a team with 11 drops total.
I only have them through 12 games on Pro Football Reference. They have 11 drops. There was a drop tonight, so they should be up to 12 because Hunter Henry got hit in the grill, and the ball did not stay stuck in his grill. They also have May, and I love Pro Football Reference. God bless them. They do the Lord's work. They have May with 52 bad throws on 355 attempts.
Is that
I don't know.
good,
I'd have to look at what
bad?
everybody else's is.
I would guess it's good. I
mean, it's
he's been one of the most
15.2.
accurate quarterbacks in football this year.
Yeah. I mean, you don't see him missing guys by a crap ton. Enough of that. I want to talk about the offensive line, and I want to talk about Will Campbell, and I want to talk about the future.
It's your show. You get what you want, babe.
And in order to talk about the future, we have to talk about the past. Not the distant past, just pregame live. Here's Albert Breer talking about what he knows. Or as Albert would say, the one thing you have to understand, the one thing that people are missing is this.
Well, he's not out for the year, Michael, but this is a very significant injury. He has a grade 3 MCL sprain. That essentially means his MCL is torn. It's a 4 to 6 week injury, and one of the reasons they decided to put him on injured reserve was actually to protect him from himself. They felt like because of who he is, how tough he is, sort of competitor he is, that he would push to get back earlier than that. So this puts a governor on it. This forces him to go through a full recovery. They're going to try to get him back for the last game of the regular season. Even that may be pushing it a little bit. This is not a minor injury, though. This is an MCL tear, a grade 3 MCL sprain, which again necessitates a 4 to 6 week recovery. You have to be careful about guys pushing it. It's the type of injury that you can aggravate and you can make worse by playing on it. And there are a lot of examples of guys, especially in a position like Will Campbell's, trying to play through these sorts of things. So I think in a certain way, the Patriots put him on IR trying to look out for him and trying to make sure that he does go through as full a recovery as you can in season. But I would say this, Michael, like, if the Patriots were in the position they were at this time last year, when there was nothing to play for, they would probably shut him down for the rest of the season.
Sorry, Albert.
We love you, Albert.
He knows we love him.
Yeah,
nobody
knows
takes
that.
a joke better than him.
No, he's the best.
I'm Tommy hypersensitive. Albert doesn't care.
You do a good, and it's a good impression. It's not your
Wait,
best.
Wait. But
That he
here's
has
where
really
people
cut back on that. I don't know if you've noticed that.
the finger up, interrupting the last thought.
In the multiple repeat. Yes, trying to get the engine revved.
He needs that last thought in though. But the one. I've had to yell at him before. No more.
I know,
last
but not
thoughts.
this year. I'm saying I think this year he's really turned over a new leaf. I need to ask him if that has been a conscious effort on his part.
No more last thoughts, Albert.
I love that when it happens. It's
Yeah, dude,
hilarious.
It's great.
It's
It's good. Because
He
when
just
you tell
loves
him,
he loves the discussion so much. He needs to get it in. He's so passionate. It's why he's so great at his job. He is passionate about it.
and the great thing is when you tell him no, he just smiles and goes.
Yeah, he's never offended. He can't
never
be offended.
Cannot offend him. However, that's really interesting that he would mention that Will Campbell, had this been a team that was not in the hunt, probably would have had a season-ending situation. And the reason they put him on IR, and it's not, we have to keep Will Campbell from staying out of the weight room because he's such a maniac. No, it's, buddy, you're not playing.
Right.
Relax.
Right.
You're not a consideration. You can't impress us. I don't care if you're doing cartwheels. Sorry, we already made this decision.
Yeah, there's more of a set timeline. There are guardrails on his recovery. And so it's a totally understandable tact for the Patriots to take with him. Understanding who he is as a player and as a competitor, the way we do a little bit, I think, even though this is just his first year. You know, he's talking about dying for his quarterback the day he's drafted. That's a guy who's going to want to push himself, right, to get back on the field. And so, for it to be a grade 3 sprain, I believe is how Albert put it, that's I don't know if that is news you necessarily want to hear as a Patriots fan, because I think people were hoping, well, by the time he gets back, he will be fully himself. And I'm not saying that can't happen, but for it to be a 4 to 6 week recovery, if that's closer to 6 based on the level of the tear and however his recovery goes, you're talking now about postseason play, and maybe even if you do have him, not having the best version of Will Campbell, who is one of the reasons he's good, Tom, it should be noted, is he is a tremendous athlete. So an injury like this one is not insignificant.
Let's rip through the schedules to finish up this program. Let's look at the Patriots' schedule first down the stretch, because Will Campbell just missed his first game via IR. Patriots have the bye, as you know. Then they go Bills, Ravens, Jets, Dolphins. They might have things sewn up. They don't even have to bring, if they have the number 1 seed sewn up, they don't have to bring Will Campbell back for the Dolphins game.
No.
And they'd be getting a bye.
You might want to just have him not play that last couple of games, even if he's
divisional
available,
playoff.
technically. Yeah.
You got 2 good teams, 2 ass teams. So the Patriots have a 50-50 schedule down there at the end. Meanwhile, the Bills, a much more difficult schedule to close. The Patriots have a 2.5-game lead. They're going to play the Bengals and Joe Burrow this week, as you see there. Then they are at New England, at the pesky Browns, at least defensively pesky. Then they have to play the Eagles, who probably will have something at stake at that juncture. Thoughts on the Bills, Phils?
I wonder if this team is headed in the right direction.
You think they're cooked?
I'm not saying I think they're cooked. I have said many times on this podcast and others that I think Josh Allen is the best quarterback in football.
Okay.
And so anytime you have him and he is available, you are a threat. However, they got issues. They got communication issues. They have receiver issues who, their receiver issues are so significant that even the best quarterback in football, I'm not sure, can figure them out. They just had to sign Brandon Cooks, Tom, to play real snaps for them. Defensively, have a hell of a time trying to stop the run. I just think the pressure is on them to get to the Super Bowl. This should be a Super Bowl year for them. And it doesn't feel like when you watch them week to week like it's going in the right direction.
Imagine being a Bills fan and looking at all these other teams that have been the bane of your existence, primarily the Kansas City. Seeing Kansas City bottom out and then looking at your team and they're 2.5 games behind the friggin' Patriots, who you hate. You know who's the Colts are They're at the Jaguars. They're at the Seahawks. Then they have the Niners, the Jaguars again, and they're at the Texans.
Poor Casey Keene is editing this show. Just fell off her chair. 3 hard Fs in rapid succession. I couldn't even pay attention to what you were saying. I think the Texans were mixed in there. That, to me, is a scary team.
Screwed.
Colts are screwed. They've got the Texans coming up.
I just went through the Colts.
Yeah.
I put you on your heels there. Seahawks, Jaguars, Niners, Jaguars, Texans. Colts
I hate
are
how you say Jaguars.
They're done. Colts are done.
Yeah.
Party's over there.
Yeah. They have a decent shot, Tom, of missing the postseason entirely.
You can smell it.
Even sitting at 8 wins right now. Wouldn't you be, talk about a fan base, would you not be beside yourself if your team had just traded 2 first-round picks for a cornerback who now has a soft tissue injury, might be missing time moving forward as you're trying to make a run at the postseason, and now has far fewer assets to maybe go acquire, a franchise quarterback not named Daniel Jones. Now you have no corner, you have no means towards a quarterback, and you're looking at a future with Daniel Jones and whatever's going on with his lower body and whatever's going on with him just as a quarterback.
Niners could make a move, send Mac Jones to Minnesota. Then the Colts can get J.J. McCarthy.
Do it.
And then
try to revive him. Shane Steichen could do it.
Daniel Jones can go to Miami, and Tua can go back up Brock Purdy. All right, the final team that's kind of also screwed.
That was maybe a genius plan by you.
It's the Broncos.
No, screwed.
They're kind of screwed. Listen to this.
Come on.
They got the Packers. They got the Jaguars.
Win.
They have the Chiefs. They have the Chargers.
Win.
Okay, if you want to play that game, you know what? It's late. You want to go home. I don't blame you. All the kids are tired.
No, I'm just saying. They're not. That's a good team.
How
are they screwed? They might lose a couple of those.
They're not that good.
The Broncos?
Look, I might have been on this very podcast talking about how good they were until I got an eyeful of Bo Nix for a few weeks. And they have won a ton in a row. Sorry, Casey, again. They've beaten the Bengals, Eagles, Jets, Giants, Cowboys, Texans, Raiders, and Chiefs, and then the Manders, 27-26. But they've been life and death with the Manders, life and death with the Giants, down 19, life and death with the Jets, Jets. They're not going to negotiate their fight. The bottom line is, do they have a harder schedule than the Patriots down the stretch?
Yes.
With the Packers, the Wires, the Chiefs, and the Chargers? Yes, indeed, they do.
They do. No doubt. Bo Nix, very up and down. I'm with you on that front. You had to have liked that throw where he's horizontal and he's executing in midair.
I hate to say it, but it reminds me of Patrick Mahomes. I don't do a good Chris Paul.
No, you don't. But I knew exactly what you were getting at there. And it did. It was kind of Mahomesian.
Every game.
But he also misses a half dozen throws he never should miss.
No. Speaking of missing, we're missing our families. We spent the entire weekend here. Didn't go home for Thanksgiving, just prepping for this Monday night game. So now that it's concluded, we're going to head home. Enjoy your post-Thanksgiving week. Hope you had a great Cyber Monday, everyone.